Hi everyone, and welcome to Learn Science with me, your mentor, Doria. Space. Week 4, the planets, Part 2. In this lesson, we will be doing a learning by making activity, which will be lots of fun. There will be a few suggestions at the end of other activities you can do at home. Let's dive right in with a fun facts quiz about stars. Stars are the celestial bodies made mostly from hydrogen and helium. They are the building blocks of galaxies. How many stars do you think there are in the universe? Is it A, 1 billion, B, 30 million, or C, impossible to know? I'll give you a moment to think about this. 3, 2, 1. That's right, the answer is C. It is impossible to know exactly how many stars there are in the universe, but it is known that there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on all beaches on Earth. That is a lot of stars. If you watched my last lesson, you might remember how at the end of the lesson, I mentioned that this week we would be doing a learning by making activity. If you haven't seen last week's lesson yet, don't worry, you don't need to see it to do this activity, but I do recommend watching it because it will give you some information about the planets in our solar system, which is what we will be making today. Before we begin, let me just introduce the activity. In this learning by making activity, we will be drawing all 8 of the planets in our solar system that we learnt about last week, and we will be sticking them onto a long piece of paper in order. Each planet has around 5 steps, and there are a few extra steps for folding and cutting pieces of paper. It is important that during the steps that require you to use scissors, you get an adult to help you. You can spend as much or as little time as you like on this activity. It should take around 10 minutes to complete each planet, but feel free to spend more or less time on this. You can also pause this lesson and come back to it another time, so don't feel like you have to do it all in one go. Whenever you see this pink pause button at the bottom of the screen, this means that this is a good slide to pause the activity so you can spend some extra time on that task. This is because I will only be stopping for a few seconds between instructions, which won't be enough time to complete everything. I will walk you through this activity step by step so you know exactly what to do. If you do get stuck or confused though, you can always rewind the lesson a bit to listen to the instructions again. I hope you guys have fun with this activity. So, let's get started. To do this activity, you will need 6 pieces of paper, a pair of scissors, something to colour your drawing with. This could be colouring pencils or pens, crayons or even paint. Whatever you have at home will work perfectly for the activity. A writing pencil, and something to stick pieces together. This could be glue or sellotape. Here I have highlighted the main things you will need. Feel free to pause the video so you can go and get everything you will need to do this learning by making activity. Have you managed to get everything? Great, let's begin. The first planets that we are going to start to make are Mercury, Venus and Mars. The first step is to grab one of your pieces of paper and place it in front of you horizontally like this. This blue rectangle on the screen is what your piece of paper should look like. Feel free to pause this video during instructions so you have time to complete them fully. Next, fold your piece of paper in half along the dotted line on the screen. If you unfold your piece of paper, you should see that the 2 folds you have made should cross each other in the middle of your page, like on the screen. Take some time now to double check that this is what your piece of paper looks like. Does your paper look like this? Using your pencil, draw one small circle inside one of the small boxes your folding has created, like this. Again, Using your pencil, draw a circle that is a little smaller than the first one you drew inside another one of the small boxes your folding has made, like this. Now, we're going to draw a big circle that takes up the other half of your piece of paper, like this. These circles are the outlines of the planet Mars, Mercury, and Venus. So we know which is which, label them outside of the circle by writing the names of the planets next to your outline. On the next slide, you will see some images of the planet Mercury. What we are going to be doing is using those pictures to add detail and colour in our outline of Mercury here. Look for key features such as colours, does it have stripes, any spots, or anything that you think makes Mercury identifiable. Here we have 3 images of the planet Mercury. Use these to add colour and key details onto your outline of the planet Mercury. Feel free to pause the video now so you have time to colour in your outline. Have you managed to do that? Great, let's move on. Our next outline that we are going to be adding detail to is our outline of Venus. Just like for Mercury, on the next slide you will see some images of the planet Venus. Use these to add colour and key features onto your outline of Venus. Here we have 3 images of the planet Venus. Use these to add colour and detail onto your outline of Venus. Don't worry if your images don't look exactly like these pictures here. As long as the colours are similar and any key features that you think make the planet Venus identifiable are on your drawing, then you've done a perfect job. The next outline we will be adding detail to is this one of Mars. Again, on the next slide there will be images of Mars which you can use to help you do this. Here we have 3 images of the planet Mars. Use these to colour in and add key details to your outline of Mars. The next planet we will be drawing is Earth. Take another piece of paper and put it in front of you horizontally again, like so. Next, fold your piece of paper in half along this dotted line. Use your pencil to draw a big circle on one half of the page like this. This circle will be used for the outline of planet Earth. Make sure you label it outside of the circle by writing the name Earth next to your outline so you know which planet this is. Just like for the other planets, use the images of Earth on the next slide to colour in and add details onto your outline. Here we have 3 images of the planet Earth. Use these to colour in and add key details to your outline of Earth. The next planet we will be drawing is Jupiter. Grab another piece of paper and place it in front of you horizontally again, like this. Using your pencil, draw a big circle that takes up the whole page, like this. This will be used for our outline of Jupiter. Make sure you label it outside of the circle so you know which outline it is. Again, using the images of the planet Jupiter on the next slide, we are going to colour in and add key features of the planet Jupiter onto our outline. Here we have 2 images of the planet Jupiter. The first image is a close-up of the red spot which I talked about last week. The second image is a full image of the planet Jupiter. Use these images to add details and colour onto your outline of the planet. Feel free to pause the video now so you have plenty of time to complete this task. The next planet we will be drawing is Saturn. Again, grab another piece of paper and put it in front of you horizontally like this. Draw a circle in the middle of the page that is a little smaller than the outline of Jupiter. Make sure it still takes up most of the page like this. We will use this circle for our outline of Saturn. Do you remember that Saturn has rings running around it? To draw the rings onto our outline, draw a shape like this in the centre of our circle. Feel free to pause the video now so you can have a go at drawing this. Now, label the outside of the circle with the name of the planet Saturn so you know which outline this is. Just like before, we are going to be using the images on the next slide to colour in and draw in details onto our outline of Saturn. Here we have 2 images of the planet Saturn. Use these to colour in and add key details to your outline of Saturn. The next planets we will be drawing are Uranus and Neptune. Again, grab another piece of paper and put it in front of you like this. Fold your piece of paper in half along this dotted line. Using your pencil, draw 2 circles in each half of the page like this. These 2 circles will be the outlines of our last 2 planets, Uranus and Neptune. Label them outside of the circle so you know which outline is which. Use the images of Uranus on the next slide to add colour to your outline of Uranus here. Remember to add key features of the planet that you can see onto your outline. Here we have 2 images of the planet Uranus. Use them as a guide to add colour and detail to your outline. Feel free to pause the video now so you have time to have a go at this. Have you managed to do that? Great, let's move on. Now it's time to add colour and detail to our outline of Neptune. Here we have 2 images of the planet Neptune. Use these to add colour and key features onto your outline. Now you should have coloured in and added detail to all 8 of your planet outlines. The next step is to grab your last piece of paper and put it in front of you horizontally like this. Fold your piece of paper in half, like along the dotted line. Keeping your piece of paper folded in half, fold it again in half, like along the dotted line on the screen. When you unfold your piece of paper, you should see 3 horizontal lines going across the page that gives you 4 different sections to your paper, like this. Take some time now to double check that this is what your piece of paper looks like. Take a pair of scissors and carefully cut along each of your 3 folds. Make sure you get an adult to help you with this step. After completing this, you should be left with 4 strips of paper. Using glue or sellotape, stick the edges of your 4 strips of paper together so you make one giant strip. Now, write the name of the planet inside the circle, but on the back of your drawing. Try to write the label as close to the top of your planet outline as you can, so you can still see it after we stick the planet onto our long strip of paper. Using a pair of scissors, carefully cut around the outline of each of your planets. Make sure you get an adult to help you with the scissors and cutting. Once you have finished this step, you should have all 8 of your planets cut out. Using either our glue or sellotape, we are going to be sticking our diagrams of the planets in order onto our long strip of paper. Do you remember which planet should go first? That's right, it's Mercury. Stick Mercury onto the very start of your long strip of paper. What planet comes after Mercury? That's right, it's Venus. Using your glue or sellotape, stick your diagram of Venus onto your long strip of paper next to the planet Mercury. Do you remember what planet comes after Venus? That's right, it's Earth. Stick your diagram of Earth onto your long strip of paper next to the planet Venus. What planet comes after Earth? That's right, it's Mars. Grab your diagram of Mars and stick it on to your long strip of paper next to Earth. Do you know which planet comes next? That's right, it's Jupiter. Grab your outline of Jupiter and stick it onto your long strip of paper next to your planet Mars. Which outline goes next to Jupiter? That's right, it's Saturn. Grab your drawing of Saturn and stick it on to your long strip of paper next to the planet Jupiter. Only 2 more planets left to stick on. Which outline goes next to Saturn? That's right, it's Uranus. Grab your drawing of Uranus and stick it on your long strip of paper next to the planet Saturn. That means our last planet to stick on is Neptune. Grab your outline and drawing of Neptune and using either your glue or sellotape, stick it on to the end of your long strip of paper. Great job, everyone! You should now have drawn and glued in order onto your long strip of paper all 8 of these planets. Great job, everyone! That brings us to the end of this learning by making activity. If you enjoyed that learning by making activity, here's a little extension to that activity that you might want to do. Now you have drawn and stuck in order all 8 of your planets onto your long strip of paper, it might be nice to find out some interesting facts about each of the planets and write them down on the back of the planets that you have drawn. Here, you will see a list of useful links that you can use to find some interesting facts about each of the planets. These are just the links that I have put at the end of last week's lesson and this week's lesson in the Some More Practice section. How I suggest you use them is, for example, if you wanted to go on this solar system link here, it would take you to this web page, which should look like this. Here you can see icons for all 8 of the planets. You can click on each of these icons to find more about that planet. For example, if you really liked Jupiter, you could click on the icon Jupiter here. This would take you to this web page where you could learn all about Jupiter. After scrolling down and reading the information about Jupiter, you may come across the fact that Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. If you find this interesting, what you could do is take this fact and write it on the back of your planet Jupiter, which is stuck on your long piece of paper. To do this, you would need to find the planet Jupiter on your long strip of paper, which is here. Remember that you should have labelled each planet at the top on the back so you know exactly which planet is which. Then, with your pen or pencil, write the interesting fact down at the back of the planet. This is a very flexible activity. If you want to, you can do 1, 2, 3 facts for each of the planets. You also don't have to do all of the planets. You can pick a few of your favourites, or even just 1 or 2 to do. It's entirely up to you. Great job, everyone! Let's move on to our last fun facts quiz, which will be about the planet Neptune. Neptune is the windiest planet in our solar system. But what speed do you think the wind on Neptune reaches? Is it A, 504 kilometers an hour, B, 2,575 kilometers an hour, or C, 489 kilometers an hour? I'll give you a moment to think about this. 3, 2, 1. That's right. The wind speed on Neptune can reach 2,575 kilometers an hour. That is a windy planet. If you have enjoyed this lesson, here is some more practice that you can do to learn even more about the planets and our solar system. This first link will take you to this website, which should look like this. Scrolling down the page, you will find different sections that each answer different questions you may have about space. Feel free to click on these links to find out more. At the bottom of the page, you will see this 25 class clips. Click here to be redirected to another web page that is full of space-related videos that you can watch at home. This next link will take you to another website that looks like this. Scrolling down the page a little, you will see these 3 space-related games that you can play. Once you have chosen a game and clicked on it, there will be some information underneath that you can read about the game and about the topics in the game. For the reflective activity, I suggest watching this video about the solar system. The link to it can be seen below. This quick video recaps some of the information we have learned today, as well as tells you some new and cool facts which I think you'll find interesting. The most important thing, however, is to have fun. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you have had as much fun as I have. I look forward to seeing you all in our next lesson together.